The Nigerian children of yesterday who never had the benefit of good parenting or parenting at all. They are the Nigerian children who received little or no moral education. They are the Nigerian children who never had the opportunity of a good education, if any education at all. Yes, there are those who today are unemployed, who are unemployable, who are jobless, who are hopeless, who are desperate. Many of them grew up on the streets, and all they know is the law of the jungle. What kind of law operates on the streets? The law of the jungle, the survival of the fittest. Many of them have lost hope, and they think they have nothing to lose. And when our young people think they have nothing to lose, none of us is safe. When you raise a herd of young people who think they have nothing to lose, then we are all in trouble because none of us is safe. It is said that if you raise a child like an animal in an environment only fit for animals, that child will grow up to behave like a wild animal. This is what we have done to millions of our youth. Sisters and brothers, see what we have done to millions of our youth. Those we call hoodlums, those we call vandals, those we call hooligans. They are our children. They are the children of our neighbors. See what we have rendered their lives. See how we have destroyed their lives by our selfishness, by our blindness, by our myopia. We think we can take care of ourselves and leave the rest. But nature does not accept a situation. Nature abhors a situation of islands of affluence in the midst of a sea of poverty. Nature doesn't accept it. Yes, God always forgives. Man sometimes forgives, but nature never forgives. You offend nature, nature pays back. Nemesis has caught up with us. We are beginning to harvest where we sowed. And so I remember the poem I wrote several years ago, warning about this kind of situation. The scenario that is playing out now, I had warned. In the last 30 years, I have been crying. This poem was written 25 years ago. I have been crying that if we do not change the structure of our society, if we do not change our financial economic structure, if we do not change our social structure, if we continue to operate an apartheid in the same society, that we are doomed. The future is doomed. I wrote this several years ago. It's in my book, Fragments of Truth. Nemesis is the irony of injustice and abuse. Those who decree poverty for the poor and legislate misery for the lowly can neither prosper alone nor in isolation have peace. For the culture of poverty brings not only hunger and starvation, the culture of poverty also brings violence and disorder. I wrote also several years ago, Scandal. Daddy has eaten the sour grapes, and today my brothers and sisters are gnashing their teeth. Mommy has tasted the forbidden fruit, and now the kids are out naked in the cold. They have desecrated the tree of love and violated the sanctuary of justice, and so the children flee from wisdom's child and fall into the callous embrace of the angel of death. Tomorrow has become a stone wall that my brothers and sisters stare at with angry desperation. Cursed be that day, that blind day, when daddy resolved to steal food off the hands of his own children. Alas, for that dark hour when mommy chose to mortgage tomorrow for the fleeting pleasures of today. From Petals of Truth, page 105. It was Dom Helder Camara, former Archbishop in Brazil, who said, when I give food to the poor, they will call me a saint. When I ask why the poor have no food, they call me a communist. The question we're asking now is, why have the poor no food? Because we could have organized for the poor to have food. It is time for us to repent. I call on all of us who are privileged, all of us who were not there with the looters, with the so-called hooligans, with the so-called vandals, all of us who didn't join them, who are comfortable enough, who didn't need that carton of Indomie for our dinner. I call on all of us to repent, to do the much needed restitution and take responsibility for the future. We, the privileged elite, and I mean the political elite, the economic elite, the social elite, the religious elite, who have had the benefit of good parenting, those of us who have had the benefit of good education, those of us who are privileged to have jobs, to have families to go to, who live in decent houses, who perhaps drive around in our own cars, we must get to work immediately and begin to take responsibility for the future. Time is running out. What did I say? Time is indeed running out for all of us. And all of us must take responsibility. It's not only the president or governors or government officials. All of us must take responsibility and do something. Do something. Whatever. Do something so that 1 or 2 young people can be taken off the streets. If all of us who are privileged do something to take 1 or 2 children out of the streets, then we may have a future to plan for. Otherwise, it's bad news. We don't have a future to look forward to.